right, everybody. How are you doing today? Welcome to Rig It On Thursday with the coach here at Big Bite Baits. I got my man Jordan with me again today, as usual. We got a small show planned for you today, but let me go ahead and talk about the giveaway. Today we're going to talk about the Coontail, but we did decide to do a little bigger extra gift. I mean, it's Christmas week, and you know it's a good time of the year to give a little bigger prize. So the winner of today's question, when we give it, will get a assortment pack of Coontails in a box with a Big Bite label, Coontail label on it. So get your answers in just a few minutes. So the question of the day is, and Jordan's going to pick the winner. Somebody give me the unique way to rig a Coontail that you've been successful catching fish on. So don't make something up now. Let's have something that really works, and we'll share it with everybody on our next show. But anyway, that's what's up for the giveaway. So Jordan will pick it and let you know who the lucky winner is. All right, last week, Jordan, we got some extra questions. I think you told me we had a couple coming in we need to cover.
Yeah, we did. So the first one is from Flippin' with Phil. He wants to know, what is your favorite way to catch deep summer bass?
Ooh, I used to be a Texas rig guy. I used to like to throw our 10-inch B2 worm. That was kind of like my go-to bait. But the last couple of years, I've done real well fishing our 8-inch finesse worm on a Magnum shaky head out in about 25 foot of water. That seems to be the way that we get more bites now than we did off the old Texas rig. So I'd have to say right now, what I'm doing is using that Magnum head and catching them on that big 8-inch finesse worm.
Gotcha, okay. And so the next question is from Nats Fan 08. What is your favorite fish to catch and eat? My
favorite fish to catch and eat? Well, I like, as a good old Southern boy would say, I like a brim. Now, it can be a bluegill, it can be a red belly, or it can be what we call a shell cracker, which is a red-eared sunfish. But I'm partial to a panfish. I like it fried in hot grease, and it's good, and that's the way I like to eat. I actually don't eat bass, because I'm a big conservative guy, and I like to put all my bass back, but I do eat a brim and like a brim. Brim is my favorite, no doubt.
Okay. The next one, I got a couple rigs coming in already live here.
Good, good.
One that's interesting, Salty Bones 1. I'd like him to clarify. What is a knocker rig? I'm not sure that I've heard of that one. Have you heard of that one, Coach?
No, I hadn't heard that one. That sounds kind of interesting. So we get him to come back and tell us a little bit more about that. Yeah. Definitely. Well, let's go ahead and talk about the bait, Jordan, today. Today we're going to talk about a bait that Russ Lane helped us develop back about 4 or 5 years ago. It's called a Coontail. It's basically a fry bait with rings. It's a good bait to use if you need to get some bites. If you're going to downsize, go to a smaller profile bait. The unique thing about this, obviously, it's got rings on it that's trapped air to give it some bubbles. And you know, there's a lot of our competitors have something similar, but one of the things that's different about ours, the core down the center of this Coontail is offset, so it gives it more action. And then obviously the tail is kind of bulbous, and as you can see, it has real good action. So we call this the Coontail, and it's a very good bait. It's 4.75 inches long. It comes in 11 colors. And I've seen it fished several different ways. People talked about it, but if you need to downsize and try to catch fish quickly, or if you're in a tight tournament and not getting bites, this might be a way, kind of like the limit maker last week, a way to maybe generate you some bites by just going to a smaller profile and trying it. Let's talk a little bit about some ways to rig it, Jordan. The first little tip I'm going to give today before we get into rigs, I think it's something that I saw. I was on the boat back several years ago with Jeff Creed at Table Rock Lake. I had the pleasure to go out fishing with him a little while, and he would always dip the tail of that bait in chartreuse dye. He likes a tilapia or tilapia magic, green pumpkin type colors mostly, and he would dip the end of it just to give it a little more look. So that's something I'll share with you that you can do in your fishing bait. Dip the tail. We don't make it in a two-tone type bait like that. So as a result, you know, you can dip it and get you a color variation, something I would recommend. And while we're talking about that with Jeff Creed, now he likes to fish this on a spinning reel, and he fishes this on a fin twist head and just turns it into a different type of shaky head. Rather than being a worm, he uses a Coontail. Now he'll tell you this is one of his go-to rigs, and he loves it. I personally don't fish it like this, but I can tell you after being with him that day, I probably need to, because he was working on pretty good with this particular rig. But if you like to fish shaky head and you're doing that finesse type deal, and maybe you're fishing our shaking squirrel or squirrel tail, if not, give it to Coontail a try. See how you like that. Works pretty good from what I saw that day. That's one of the ways to rig it. Now, I also decided to give you two other types of rig. I gave an old school rig. Now, back in the 80s and 90s, we used to throw these ring fries like this on a Carolina rig. And I haven't done that in a while, but it was very effective. And I'm pretty sure if I went back out there and did that, I could catch fish on it. but I just hadn't done it lately. Used to get lots of bites just pulling this on a Carolina rig, just rigged up like normal on the Carolina rig. If you want to put rattles in it at the head, you can. You don't necessarily have to. I usually don't put a rattle in it. I just had this one rigged up like that. But that's a way to try, a little bit more finesse, downsized type bait on your Carolina rig and give that a whirl. And then, of course, obviously, the way that I fish it, when I do fish a coontail, normally I'll fish it around like my brush or maybe some grass on the banks. I like to throw it on a Texas rig. Just a good old-fashioned Texas rig seems to work pretty well for it. Pick up lots of bites. Catch, I'm not going to say you don't catch a lot of giant fish. I don't personally. Now, some people may. I catch lots of numbers on it doing it this way. So, if you want to go out and just have some fun and get some bites, it's a way to go. Try it on a Texas rig. And I'm sure some of you guys are fixing to call in and give me some other ways to rig it. But that's the 3 ways that I wanted to share with you today that I like to rig it. I know that I've even talked to Russ Lane a little bit about it. He punches it sometimes, so he does some different things. I mean, there's an endless way to fish the bait. I mean, everybody has ways that they like to present it. I just showed you the ways that I like to present it. But the biggest thing is give it a try if you hadn't tried it. I think you'll find you'll get a lot of bites on it. Okay, especially around wood. It seems to work real good around brush and wood. I know that for a fact, okay? All right, so today's questions. What kind of questions we got today off the sheet and people calling in? Let's talk a little bit about that, Jordan.
All right, so to follow up on it earlier, whenever Salty Bones mentioned a knocker rig, he said it's really similar to a Texas rig, but with a round sinker instead of a bullet sinker.
Okay, I can understand it. I'm going to make a little clacking sound maybe. Right. Give the fish something, a little more action to pick up. That's kind of neat. Good idea.
And then I've had several people say to wacky rig it. That would be a really
that'd be interesting. Yeah, I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm not downplaying our bait. There's not a whole lot of meat in the middle of that bait. Now, you probably have to put an O-ring on it to make it work. Right. You could probably slide an O-ring in between the ribs to make it work. I would think just pulling the hook through that little tiny core, you might have a problem with it tearing up.
And then another interesting one that I've heard of and have not used yet is the Tokyo rig. Psyched to Fish mentioned that.
Right, I saw one of those. When I was at ICAST this year, we had a guy come by and show us all about the Tokyo rig. And it's just a variation to me of kind of a drop shot kind of rig.
Right.
But I think it's another type of finesse rig I think would work. I think you could probably do that and be all right with it as well. Something different to try, definitely. Anything else we got today?
I think I'm going to have to go with the Tokyo rig as the winner this week. That's just a real new.
Okay, so who's our winner? Who's going to get the box?
Psyched to Fish.
All right, Psyched to Fish. You got a nice Christmas present coming. I promise you about a $50 gift. So we'll get that packed up. If you get us an address, we'll get it out to you. Jordan, I don't have a whole lot more today. You got one more coming? Let's take it, and then I'll get off this thing.
One more question I got from Zachary Celsi is, how do you catch winter bass? I've thrown everything from crankbait, swimbait, spinnerbaits. He listed all kind of stuff.
I don't do a whole lot different in the winter than I do any other time of the year, other than the fact I try to slow down. And a lot of times some people tell you need to go to smaller presentation baits, that type of thing. I can go out there tomorrow and it's sub 30 degrees here today, and I'll throw the same deep rigs that I throw in the summer. I just slow my presentation way, way down. And I seem to get just as many bites, but I think the key is slowing down. Another thing I like to do in the winter is throw an Alabama rig. The fish are feeding up on shad, and if you happen to find a group of fish, you can give them to buy an Alabama rig. That's another way to try it. So just a couple things, but don't give up on your winter fishing. Just slow down and be patient. I think you'll find maybe you'll get some bites. If that's it, Jordan, we'll move on today. Didn't have a whole lot today. I would like to take just a minute from me and you both to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. Have a nice holiday with your family. Be careful, be safe. Same thing for New Year's. We won't be back here until January the 9th, our next show. So we're going to go and celebrate Christmas, and then we're going to enjoy the New Year. And everyone, please just take your time, be careful, and have a great holiday. And we'll see you back here on January the 9th.